So here they are. These were originally photos. I sent some photos over to a good friend of mine. Her name's Ellie. I'll put her Instagram page up at the top. Yeah, so I sent her pictures of my Better Splendin, and she decided to do them in art form. So she made them all artistic and watercoloured and beautiful, and I'm very much in love with them. So you've got Jax, then it goes Mr. T, as I now nickname him, but he's known as Toothless. And over this side, you've got my boy, my very first boy, Opie. And then you've got Darwin just below. And then my daughter was very much inspired by these. And she just fell in love with them. She's like, wow, they're so creative. And then she went away and she did this. She did her own look. But she did these with Sharpie pens. And I was that impressed with it. And she even signed it. Look, he's so cute, just like Ellie did. She signed it as Ella. So I thought that, you know what, that deserves a pride of place on the wall too. So as you can see, I've taken a step back without falling off the bed. They're all nicely on my wall, and I absolutely love them. So thank you very much, you artistic people in the world. I appreciate your art. What's going on, you wonderful people on the YouTubes of the internet? Hello, how are we today? How is everybody doing? Is everybody okay? That's definitely going to end up on the end of the video as an outtake. Why do I never get this right first time? I always struggle with these. Anyone would think I'm a little bit socially awkward. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Frankie's Aquatics, right here on YouTube. So first of all, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out today's video. I did kind of put this video to the peoples, to you. I said, let me know. I did a poll on Twitter and Instagram. And I just said, what do you want to see next? Because I've got loads of ideas for videos. I'm not running out of ideas at all. But I kind of want to cater to my audience. I want to know what love is. What you show me? I want to know what you guys want to see. Because I can produce videos left, right and centre. There's sometimes I'm trying to get... I'm not trying. I'm getting one video out per week at the moment. And 9 times out of 10, what happens during the editing stage, because unfortunately this isn't just one massive take, although it might flow smoothly like that, it's not. It's basically a choppy, edit it together and make it look pretty and try and make them a little bit humorous too. It's all like a bit of a giggle, don't we? I always get crazy ideas of videos. Like, for example, I picked up a nano tank the other day. It's a very small compact tank, probably about this big. Probably holds about 10, 11 litres or so. I've not actually checked it yet. It was just given to me by a local pet store. And I was thinking about doing something different. What can I keep in there? I wanted to keep something I could quite easily, quite comfortably house another Better in there, which would work. I could even use it for my Axolotl babies, which again would work great for a short-term temporary holding tank. But I wanted to try something different. So I'm deciding, I think, I'm going to put it again. I'm going to put this to you guys. What do you guys want to say? I'm thinking getting some shrimp in there. I mean, I've kept shrimp many times over the years, but I've always had them as part of community tanks and stuff. I've never had a tank solely dedicated to shrimp. And there's a few people on the YouTubes that I actually quite like watching that actually do dedicate themselves to shrimps. So I'm thinking about giving that a try, to be honest with you. So yeah, let me know what you want to see. Just comment up below. Just let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see from the channel. Obviously, I specialise in axolotls, breeding them currently. And I'm also in the process of breeding Better Splendin too. If you want to see how I do that, let me know. If you want to see updates on particular animals of mine, if you want to know how Jax is doing, let me know and I'll happily cover it in future videos. Like I said, I've got loads of ideas, but essentially I'd like to give you guys, the audience, a chance to tell me what you'd like to see from me. As long as it doesn't include nudity, that comes at an extra cost, that does. I don't think YouTube accepts it either. If I start getting my nipples out, I might get myself banned. Oh no, you don't want to see them either. So today's video, like I said, I put it to the people on my social media and I asked people what they wanted to see from me. I gave them 3 options. I gave them a Q&A, which I had so much fun doing it. The editing was a bit of a nightmare, but I had so much fun answering questions from you guys. I put up a top 5, which could have been anything really, a top 5 fish that I've kept, top 5 mistakes. It could have been anything. I was just going to come up with a top 5 list and I was going to chuck it out there and do that for you guys. And then the last one I put out there was an update on the baby axolotls, and it was a landslide. People was itching to see how the babies are doing, which is completely understandable. they're a few months old now, and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. I really am. I am obsessed with them. I'm fortunately, I work from home, so I'm never too far away from them, so I can always check on them throughout the day. They're eating fine, very few losses still, and they're just doing fantastic. So today's video, as you've probably guessed by the title and the fact that I've rabbited on now for like 4 minutes about it, is going to be a baby axolotl update. So without further ado, let's go and check out the babies and see how they're doing. We're going this way or that way to this way. So this is how I currently house all my babies. This was just a plastic shelving wrap, plenty of them, loads of them, for obvious reasons. There's a lot of babies, and I basically separate them off on size. So at the top I've got Flix or Flixel. He's the guy I'm going to be keeping. I may be keeping 1 or 2 more, but right now he's the guy I'm definitely keeping, which I'll show you in a minute. Below that I've got the slightly bigger babies, and then below that I've got the smaller babies that probably need a little bit more food and a little bit more attention. Not that I don't give them enough attention, I can't leave them alone. If I'm honest with you, I just can't leave them alone. So yeah, that's basically what I do. It's a racking system, water change every single day. We've treated dechlorinated water, of course. Big bucket on the top for big water changes. The yellow bucket is for the wastewater, and the blue bucket is for the fresh water. Yes, I am that obsessed. So here's Flixo, doing very well. As you can see, a nice full belly, although he is due a feed, so I'll be feeding him again in a minute. I change this guy's water every other day because I find it gets a little bit stressy when I tamper about with them a little bit too much. So as you can see, there's floating bits of crap and all the rest of the fun stuff that's in the water. I will turkey base that nonsense out of there, and then I'll give him some fresh bloodworm, which he absolutely snaps up. He's got that really cute thing now. I don't know if anyone's kept axolotls that are watching these videos, but when an axolotl gets to know you as their feeding source, whenever you enter, they tend to do this really cute little thing when they look up at you, like, oh hello, what you got for me today? And he's doing that, and I absolutely love him. I say him, it could be a her, we don't know yet. But yeah, a little bit obsessed with this guy. As you can see, I don't know if the video does him any justice, but he is absolutely by far the biggest baby that we've produced so far. Very much like his mama. He's a Lucy, and he looks like he's a dirty leucistic too, because he has got a few speckles and freckles across his body, which again is pretty much identical to his mama. So yeah, this is Flix. I absolutely love the little guy, and I'm slightly obsessed with checking on him about 1,000,000 times a day. So in this drawer, these are the slightly bigger babies. They're not huge, but as you can see, most of them do now have their front legs, which is obviously great. Some of them even have the back legs, if I can find any. I don't think I've got any to hand that I can zoom in on, to be honest. But they're all doing really well. Like I said, I'm having very, very few. I lose the odd one here and there, but it's nothing too drastic or panicky. It's kind of unfortunately part of parcel of keeping babies, especially on this scale. Most people, when their axolotls have spawn, they choose to cull most of it and keep a percentage of it, a very small percentage, and then obviously hatch them out and look after them the best they can. Where I just thought, well, I'm going to hatch the whole lot, never thinking. Well, hoping, but never thinking solely that all of it would hatch, and I have to be perfectly honest, about 90% of it did hatch. So I had a massive amount of babies from the get. But I'm not complaining, I absolutely love them, and just the very thought of getting up in the morning, doing my daddy duties first and foremost, getting the kiddos to school, and then coming home to all these little hungry mouths to feed, it's just it's almost become a way of life. I'm sure if anybody else out there has been breeding, whether it be fish or any other kind of critters or animals, it's a lovely feeling. Well, it is for me anyway. It's a lovely feeling to be needed by so many little faces, and knowing that these little orange bellies that they've got now, that's full of baby brine shrimp that I've obviously harvested myself, hatched out myself and fed. And it's just so nice to know that these little guys rely solely upon me, and if it wasn't for me, these little cute little faces wouldn't be here. So I'm a little bit obsessed with them. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have a really hard time selling these, and that's just being honest with you. It's going to be a horrible day. It's going to be a great day, because they're going to go to deserved homes where they deserve to be cared and loved as much as obviously an axolotl deserves to be cared and loved, which is very, very much. But I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss the, it is hard work. Make no mistake about it. If you've bred anything in the past, I'm sure you'll agree, it's not an easy path. But it's a very, very rewarding path, and I've enjoyed every moment. And then finally, these are the smaller axolotls that we have at the moment. I say they're smaller, they're actually growing out quite nicely. I'm a bit confused with the growth rate of these, to be honest, because some of them grow fantastically quick, whereas others just need a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more feeding, hence the big orange bellies. But these are all growing the front feet out. They're a little bit smaller than the guys above, but they are growing the feet out, so I'm not concerned about them. And the lack of loss has just been phenomenal. I mean, I've bred reptiles in the past, and I'm just so blown away by the success rate of these axolotls. I'm doing, I hope I'm doing a credit to the hobby. There's other breeders out there, obviously, that do things. There's no clear-cut way of doing things. You have to kind of find your own path. It's the same with anything, really. If you breed betters, if you breed any other sort of aquatic, there is going to be a path that you have to follow. But you kind of design, you make your own footprints in the sand. I really do believe that. There's obviously things that you have to do, i.e. grow out some shrimp, fill up these little bellies, making sure they're okay. But it's a case of finding what works for you and just following it religiously. You have to do it every day. You can't have a day off. If you have a day off, you're going to come back and you're probably going to lose a few axolotls overnight. So you have to stick with it. So if you are considering breeding, go for it, I say. But make sure, for one, you've got the means and the facilities to house them should they not sell. If you're planning on selling them, because let's be honest, it's a lot of mouths to feed. And then for two, make sure you're committed. Don't go into it half baked, shall we say. Go in there full baked, like a nice cookie. I don't even know what that means, but just, I like cookies, and I'm sure most people like cookies. But yeah, just make sure, what I'm trying to say is make sure you've got the time and the means and the money and the facilities to do it. I mean, for me, it's not massively expensive, it really isn't, but it's very expensive on your time. And of course, I wouldn't do a video about the babies without showing off mummy and daddy again. They're in a bit of a grumpy mood today because they've been fighting over the glass jar. For some reason, they usually fight over the hide that I've got in there. It's just a reptile hide, an Exoterra reptile hide, and they do both love it because obviously axolotls are quite sensitive to light. And when I open the curtains in the morning, what they'll usually do, I don't keep a light on in this tank. I just know there's no requirement for it. But what happens when I open the curtains in the morning and say good morning to everybody in the room, because I do say good morning to all my fishes and all my axolotls, what will usually happen is they will both dart for this hide. They are quite big, so they don't both comfortably fit in there, although they have been known to do it in the past. But today, for some reason, I opened the curtains and then they both darted for the transparent glass jar, which kind of defeats the object. It's not exactly working as a hide. But as you can see, Flick won the race today. That's Daddy in there. And then in the return of that, you've got Pixel, who's got the sulkies on. She's got her back to him. You know, she's normally very social. Normally, if I come over to the glass, she's like a puppy. She'll come over, she'll start doing the figure of 8, showing off, trying to get my attention. I know she wants some food, but I think she also likes the attention too. But as you can see today, she's having none of it. She's like, no, Dad, not today, not today. So there we have it. That's today's video, kind of wrapped up in a nutshell. I hope I kind of covered everything that you wanted to see on the update. I don't think the videos ever do them any justice on size, because they just always look the same sort of size. But obviously they are growing. Flix, or Flixel, full name Flixel, nickname Flix, is pretty much about the size I got. Pretty much the same size as Pixel when I got her. She was about this big. I got her from Bristol Axolotls. Do check them out too. They do have a great selection of axolotls currently for sale, so do check them out as well. And so yeah, she's pretty much, if I was going to be selling him or her, she's at the right size. Back legs are growing through now nicely, slowly but surely, and the front feet are growing through. He or she would be at the right size to sell. I'm not selling her though, or him. He or she is mine. All mine. Mine, I tell thee. So yeah, it's just a case of the catching up game. So the slightly smaller axolotls obviously got to fill out and grow. And as they grow, I'm going to separate them off into morphs. So I'm going to put the Lucies together in one tank, the Wilds in another tank, and see what I've got. Because I've noticed when they very first came out of the egg, I thought they were all wild. I didn't see any kind of light skin. I just seen dark, freckled, peckled. Flipping hell's peckled. Pickled. That's what we're talking about. Pickled eggs, please. And And as you can see with Flick, the bigger they get, the more colourful they seem to get. I mean, he's gone to a real dark, like almost marble black colour. And whenever I first got him, he was like a dirty grey and like almost like an off-key colour. And he's beautiful. I love him. I love him so much. So yeah, I'm just blown away by them. I'm obsessed by them. Like I said in the video, I am going to miss the little guys. When it comes time to sell, I have a lot of interest in them already. I will be keeping a couple of them, a very small few of them, because I do want to bring more in the future, more golds for future breeding possibilities. So I'm not going to go crazy and just haul them because they're mine. They're mine. They're all mine. I am going to be sensible. I am going to let them go to the right homes. But it's going to be a tough one. Like I said, I've bred reptiles in the past and I've sold them in the past. And yes, it was initially hard at the time, but I wasn't nearly as attached to my reptile babies as I was these babies. I am absolutely in love with them. So when that day comes, oh, it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to need an extra spoon of sugar in my coffee, that's for sure. Anyway, that pretty much sums up today's video. Like I said, I hope I've covered everything that you wanted to see. If there's any questions or any suggestions in future videos that you'd like to see, please be sure to let me know. I would be more than happy to help you guys out on that front. Any questions on how to breed, any advice tips that you want to do. I've got an idea for a future video that was kind of inspired by A Gamer's Wife, another YouTuber that I recommend. Fantastic YouTuber, very professional videos, and I've earned a lot of inspiration from her as well. She basically did a video just recently in regards to possibilities on how to set tanks up of a certain size, and I've seen her axolotl video in there, axolotl tank setup in there, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. In comparison to mine, mine's very basic, because anyone that's kept axolotls will agree, they're very dirty. So they drop little chocolate logs, as I call them, poop. And they have a horrible habit of standing on them. And as soon as you touch them, they go boom, and they just disintegrate everywhere. And they're an absolute nightmare. The filter will pick them up, but unfortunately it won't get it all. And it takes a little bit of time. So I tend to go in there with a turkey baster and try and suck them out. So because of that, I keep the tank very basic, very basic. It's got a hide in there. It's obviously got a filter in there. It's an air stone filter as well. So there's obviously fresh water from air going through the water as well. And I've got a hide in a glass jar, and they seem happy with it. And a hammock. They love a hammock. Oh, they do. And that's it, really. And it looks nice. They're happy with it. There's no complaints on the axolotls themselves. They're not stressing. They're happy. It's a cycled tank. But I just want more. I want to give them something more. So I'm considering upgrading the tank. I'm considering getting a bigger tank for them. Not too big. It's a nice tank, and it's cycled, and it's very easy to look after. But I'm considering getting a bigger tank for them. And then the possibilities really are endless from there. Anyway, I'm waffling on, so I'm going to wrap this video up. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit the like button. It just lets me know that you're watching my videos and you're hopefully enjoying them. If you haven't done so already as well, be sure to hit the subscribe button, because there's going to be loads of content like this coming up in the coming weeks. And I absolutely want you guys to be part of it. I want to create a community, an active community, where people I can talk to and familiar faces will return, hopefully. And I don't just take this for granted. I love doing this on YouTube. I love it. And I'm going to dedicate a good year to trying to make this work. And with your guys' support and help, we can absolutely do that. So thank you so much again for your support. Thank you so much if you're already a subscriber. And if you haven't, please be sure to do so. And I'll catch up with you next time. That'll do for now. So until next time, ta-ta for now. We don't have to sell these axolotls. We could just keep them and pretend that we could pretend we've sold them. No one will ever suspect anything. We'll pretend we've sold them.